That's just a little trick.
A little trick
Just a little
from the
trick.
guy who was named the greatest putter of the century. Just a little trick.
Just a little trick.
From Channel 4 San Diego, this is Forefront with Dennis Morgino.
Billy Casper, he's a legend in the game of golf. He won 2 U.S. Opens, a U.S. Seniors Open, a Masters, 60 tournaments in all between the mid-50s and the late 80s. Yet despite all of that, the Chula Vista native never really received all the acclaim he deserved. Now, however, after more than 50 years in the game, Billy Casper is more popular and in demand than ever. For decades, Billy Casper has had a radar-like putting stroke. So if you're going to get a putting lesson, line it up as though I were normally
doing it, and then just toe it in just a wee bit.
That's a left edge, inside left edge putt, right?
Uh-huh.
All right. You might as well get it from the best.
That's just a little trick.
A little trick
Just a little
from
trick.
the guy who was named the greatest putter of the century. Just a little trick.
Just a little trick.
But Casper's talent is the real thing. William Earl Casper Jr., born in San Diego in 1931. He grew up and refined his game in Chula Vista, playing in junior golf tournaments. Casper joined the Professional Golfers Association in 1955, and 2 years later, he won the Phoenix Open.
Casper's pressure-packed 50-footer on 13 gives him the lead.
A perfectionist on the golf course, Casper played with hypnotic-like intensity. In 1959, he won the U.S. Open for the first time. The 66 Open, in a sensational playoff with Arnold Palmer, may have been Casper's most dramatic victory.
One of the great achievements in the history of the Open.
Another pinnacle performance, Casper won the Masters in 1970. He was twice named PGA Player of the Year and was inducted into the PGA and World Halls of Fame. Throughout his career, Billy Casper captured 51 PGA titles. He was a member of 8 Ryder Cup teams and won 9 Senior Tour events. In 1952, before his pro career started, Casper married Shirley Franklin, his Chula Vista High School sweetheart. When the couple thought family, they thought big family. They have 11 children, 6 of them adopted. With grandchildren and great-grandchildren, the family now looks like a small city. Casper continues to support youth programs and San Diego Junior Golf. His many charity events include an annual tournament at San Diego Country Club, where many of his trophies are on display. Casper has been a golfing friend to celebrities, presidents, and royalty.
This trophy here was presented by the King of Malaysia.
Casper always said when he did something, he did it the best he could possibly do. It made Billy Casper a legend of the game and of life. You're, about 9 years old when your family moves into very close proximity to this beautiful golf course, and that had to be a boon for a young kid. You started coming out here barely a couple of years later to caddy, although you really couldn't caddy.
I was not legally able to caddy until I was 12 years of age, according to the state officials. But anyhow, I used to sneak on the golf course at the second tee and caddy for a lady a couple times a week. And I'd caddy to the 18th tee and sell her a couple golf balls, and I made $1.50, and I was really living high, you know. But my dad became a member here, and so I was able to play a lot of golf here.
You were called at various times in your career the greatest putter of your generation, the greatest putter of the century. They always say, drive for show, putt for dough. I think they probably were talking about you.
That statement was in effect far before I came along. But there's no doubt about it, I was too lazy to go down on the practice tee and hit balls. I wanted to chip and putt and hit sand shots. And so consequently, I had a very, very sound game when I first went out on the tour.
I love the story about how you got your start on the PGA Tour because it's right out of the storybook. I mean, it doesn't happen this way anymore. You tell me about hooking up a trailer, grabbing your wife and your firstborn daughter, Linda, and heading out to be a golf pro.
Well, you know, it started before then because I was still in the Navy. And I spent 4 years in the Navy from June of 51 to June of 55. And during that period of time that I was in the Navy, I became acquainted with a Chief Petty Officer who was one of our members of our golf team at North Island. And he was sort of a promoting type individual, and he had played golf with several people and that were interested in, you know, supporting a player on the tour. And one of my backers' home is just right up here. He's long since passed away. In fact, both of them have passed away, but his home was right up here, and he was a member here at the club, and the other was a member here at the club that put up money for me to go out on the tour. They bought us a trailer and a car, and which enabled us to go out on the tour.
So in those days, you had to get a little pool of money to pay expenses as you were out on the tour?
Exactly. They offered forth $650 a month for me when I first started out. We traveled from here to Portland, Oregon, and the first tournament I played in was the Western Open. It was played at the Portland Golf Club, and I shot 3 rounds of 72 and 1 of 71, which was 1 under par, and I tied for 30th money spot with 2 other players, and each of us received a check for $33.33.
Wow.
Doesn't sound like much, but it was a great star in my life because it started me on the road. The highlight of that summer, in which I played 14 tournaments, was my 4th place finish in the Labatt Open in Quebec, Canada, and I won $1,100, and that was really a big feather in the hat, you know, and it meant that I could play, and so my first complete year was 1956. You know, that first summer was really very, very interesting because I played 14 tournaments, and I think I won a little under $4,000, and I was 55th money winner, if you can imagine, with
Not bad.
a little less than 4,000. And then in 56, I won my first tournament, and at the end of the year, I'd won something like $18,000, $600 something, $18,600, and I was 12th money winner.
And the deal with your investors was that you were going to pay them back and then pay them a percentage of your earnings.
Percentage of what I won. And after, we had a 3-year contract, and when the contract was over, they'd received all their money plus a percentage, and up just off the 17th tee, which is about 430 yards from here, we had our first little house. And we had the house, which was paid for, and a car that was paid for, and we had about $5,000 in the bank, and we were off and winging.
Life was good.
Life was good.
Billy, you said the most important thing is learning how to read a green.
Read the green,
All right,
yes.
so
yes.
I'm notoriously no good at that. So
Uh-huh.
let me see here. This actually looks like it starts, but then it goes
Right.
right at the hole.
It goes both ways. It goes left to begin with and then right back at the hole.
So from here, if I'm hitting this putt, I'm probably going to hit it right at the hole.
No, you're going to hit it just at the right edge of the camera over there. See?
Okay.
Where his left
Yeah.
hand is?
Yep.
Right at that corner of the camera.
Okay. And
Yeah, you were open with the upper part of your body.
Okay.
Okay, just
So
get
just-
squared up.
just
That's
square
it.
up.
Uh-huh.
Am I lined up fairly decent?
Well, you haven't gotten on the ball yet.
All right.
Hey, you're perfect. But hit it. You're going uphill.
You're right.
You got to remember that you're going up that mountain there. You'd have made
I'm so
that.
focused on the line, I'm forgetting to
Yeah,
hit
you
the ball.
forgot about hitting it.
Yeah.
If you'd have hit that and right, you'd have made it. Beautiful. Beautiful.
In 1959, you break through and you win your first U.S. Open at Winged Foot in New York.
Right. And the first day I walked on Winged Foot and played and came back, I told my doctor friend, I said, if ever I'll win an Open, it'll be here at Winged Foot, because I just felt the course fit my style of play, and a number of the holes were much like the holes here on this club. I think I was 208 and I shot 74 for 282, and I won by a shot over Bob Rosberg. But in the course of winning the tournament, I had 114 putts for 72 holes.
Fewer than 1.6 putts per hole. That's any weekend golfer would give half his bag for that total, but that's at a U.S. Open. That's an amazing total. And you won $12,000.
Yep.
Biggest purse that you had won to that point, probably.
I have the canceled check in my home right now. It's on the wall.
And you keep winning. I think the total is you won between 56 and 71. You won at least one tournament every year.
I believe that's
impressive
correct.
record.
I believe that's correct.
Let's talk about 1966. The U.S. Open again is being played, this time at the Olympic Club in San Francisco. And through 3.5 rounds, the only name that is on anyone's lips is Arnold Palmer. He hadn't won a major in a while, and his career was a little bit in decline, but it's the Palmer of old, and he is blowing away the field. He's got a 7-shot lead with 9 holes to go on Billy Casper.
And as we walked to the 10th tee, I said, Arnold, I want to finish second, because I was 2 shots ahead of the late Tony Lima and Jack Nicklaus. And Arnold said, I'll do everything to help you. And I parred the 10th hole, and he bogeyed, and I picked up a shot, and we both parred 11, and we both birdied 12. And I think he had put in his mind that he wasn't going to lose the Open, and he wanted to break Hogan's record for the low score for the U.S. Open. So at the 13th hole, which was a 3-par, I scored a par while he was scoring bogey, and now I was 5 shots behind with 5 holes to play. The 15th hole, which was a rather short par 3, I played first, and I hit the ball about 25-30 feet just beyond the hole, and he went for the flag, which was cut in the right side of the green, and he missed the green to the right in the sand trap, and he came out of the trap about 10 feet, and I holed the putt for 2, and he missed. He's now lost 4 shots, and he was only 3 shots ahead with 3 holes to play. He panicked. Not only was the Hogan record gone, but the little fat boy had slipped up on him, you know. I drove on 16, the first time I felt that I could win the Open that year. I drove it down the center of the fairway, and he hit it left and hit it carried it in the trees, and it dropped down in an area which was heavy, heavy rough. Nobody had been all week. And so he elected to try to hit a 3-iron, and he moved it about 40, 50 yards, and some more heavy rough, and out came a 9-iron. So he's now 3 out in the fairway, and I haven't even played yet. And it's a 5-par, and a nice long 5-par, and I decided to hit a 2-iron going to my conservative play and make sure I got it in the fairway. He then had to hit a 3-wood into the sand trap short of the green. And as I was walking, I thought, well, now if I can hit a shot fairly close to the hole, hold the putt, that's 4, and if he comes out of the trap 2 putts, that's 7. We're all even. Well, I hit a good 5-iron for my 3rd, about 14 feet. He came out of the trap about a foot from the hole and scored 6, and I holed the putt. 2 more shots were gone, and the people are now beginning to yell for Casper. You might say they became Casper converts. And I drove on the 71st hole to the right, 435-yard par 4 uphill to the right rough, and he drove in the left rough, pull hooked it again. Then he played with something out of the left rough into the right rough about 70 yards short of the green. And I hit it just off the front of the green and just in the edge of the rough. And he played about 8 feet short, and I chipped about 3 feet above the hole, and he putted and left it short. And I tapped it in, and I'd picked up on 7 shots on 8 holes. And it meant that there would be a playoff the next day.
Yeah. Did you have any idea starting the back 9? I mean, was it even in the realm of possibility what was going to happen in the next 2 hours?
I had no idea, because the way he was playing, he was going to win, and I wanted to finish second, and that's what I stated to him when we went to the back nine.
Yeah.
And as things unfolded, I was just ready to take over, and fortunately I had the ability to catch up and get into the playoff. And again, in the playoff, he birdied the 4th hole, and I 3-putted the 9th green, and
You're only 3-putt of the tournament.
Yeah. He had a 2-shot lead, and we got to the 11th hole, and we both were in the center of the fairway. I played a 3-iron, and he hit just short of the green on the left and bounced right, about 35 feet short, and he hit a 4-iron that stayed in the rough, and he chipped about, I guess about 10 feet. I putted and holed the putt, and he missed. And the 2 shots were gone. And then I birdied the 13th hole with a long putt, and from that point on, it was just a lopsided affair in my way, and I finally birdied the last hole for 69, and he shot 73, and I thus win the second Open.
He must have been broken after losing 2 leads.
People that were close to him, it's the 3rd time he had lost the Open in the playoff, and people that were close to him and close to me said he never was the same after that. And as he congratulated me on the 18th green, you'll see in the USGA film, I put my arm on his shoulder and I said, "Arnold, I'm sorry," because I had great empathy for him. You know, it could very easily have been me instead of him.
You had just a remarkable career. As I said, you won at least once between 56 and 71. And that was during the heyday of the so-called Big Three, Palmer, Player, and Nicklaus. In their heyday, 64 to 1970, Billy Casper won 27 tour events and 2 majors. And Johnny Miller says, Billy didn't get a fair shake. Why do you think that's so? Why do you think why wasn't it the Big Four?
You really want to know the answer to that
Yeah,
question?
I do. I mean, your numbers say it.
Originally, I was with the IMG organization.
International Management Group.
They split. I was always resented by the IMG group because I didn't stay with IMG, and here I was being extremely good and playing, and they got most of the publicity, and I wasn't worried. Heck, I was making enough money to take care of my family, and that's all I was interested in. And you know what? I probably wouldn't appreciate it as much then as I do now, because I'm getting so much publicity now, and it's great, I'll tell you. I really love it now, you know. You see some things written about those other players now, but I get a lot, which I really enjoy.
So maybe during that time when you were so focused on winning, you would not have been as receptive to all the hype.
Right.
And now people look back at your career and go, my God, this guy won 51
Did
tournaments.
he really do that? You know, there was a period of time in my life when I was being introduced at speaking functions and things, and they'd read what you read at the beginning, and I'd think to myself, now, did I really do that? Did I really do all of that?
Mm.
Which is pretty good for a little kid coming out of New Mexico at age 4.5 to have accomplished all of that.
You're wearing a Masters cap. In 1970, final round of the Masters, you come from a stroke behind to tie Gene Littler. Your birdie putt to win the tournament lips out on the 18th hole, and you and Gene are going to go play an 18-hole playoff the following day.
I scored a double bogey on the 8th hole and lost the lead to Gene. Gene bogeyed the 9th hole. I came right behind him and birdied the 9th hole, so I had the lead back, going to the back 9. And between Bert Yancey, Gary Player, and Gene Littler and myself, one of us was leading the tournament or tied for the lead going the back 9. And I proceeded to start playing conservative golf. Thus I shot 69 and he shot 74, and I'd won the Masters. the playoff.
Yeah, that was a tournament that you always thought you could win. That was
Right.
your style of play, but your critics didn't think that it was your kind of place.
They thought that I couldn't win at Augusta because of my conservative play. They didn't, again, know what was within me. I knew when to go and I knew when not to go when I played there.
What did you and Littler talk about after that tournament? Because you guys had been kids in the junior golf program in San Diego.
Right. You know, we didn't say too much. He just congratulated me, you know, and I've often thought down through the years how much winning the Masters how much enjoyment it has given me and how much I robbed Gene Littler of it, who I consider one of my friends, you know. It's just a shame that he couldn't experience what I've experienced at Augusta.
The accounts of that day say that you were stoic in victory. Was it
Well,
more like stunned?
I had a mission and I just accomplished it. That's all there was to it,
That's
you know.
it.
That's right. That's the way I played. I was in that zone.
Favorite memories from your Ryder Cup experience?
My first Ryder Cup, I played with Palmer the first round, and that was a great experience. Jerry Barber was playing gin with Palmer, and as we rode on the train up to Lytham, St. Anne's, and he had to go to the bathroom, so he asked me to play. He was down when he left, and when he came back, I was winning, and he just let me continue to play against Palmer. And he had control over the Ryder Cup, which was in a box in the overhead rack on the train. And he's so much interested in the gin game that when he got off the train, he left the Ryder Cup on the train. And the Bobbies had to bring it back from Liverpool. You know, we had experiences like that in every one of them, every one of the matches.
You wouldn't find that happening today.
No, I don't think so.
Some guys got the Ryder Cup in the overhead.
I don't think so.
Your last PGA Tour victory was in 1975 in New Orleans, regular PGA Tour. And shortly after that time, something happens that every golfer just fears. Your game just went south. You are a guy who won the Varden Trophy 5 times, which lowest stroke average for the entire year. I mean, you, as we've documented, were one of the best. And now you had trouble breaking 80. What happened?
Age.
Really?
When you start arriving around 50, things happen. I had some problems with injuries, and one thing led to another, that my swing deteriorated. I didn't have an understanding of how to swing the club anymore.
And the quote that's attributed to you is, you were afraid to go out there because you were a menace to the galleries. You
That's
didn't know
right.
whether it was going to go right, left. You played in something like 5 tournaments in 1980 and hit 45 balls out of bounds.
Yeah. It was something.
That's amazing.
It was some experience that I went through. And you know, I worked on certain fundamentals that Phil Rogers taught me, and I changed my swing. I changed my grip mainly, and so I went back out on the senior tour, and I played pretty well.
Yeah, you
When I first started on the senior tour.
Yeah. You went out in 1981, and in 1982, you won another tournament. And in 1983, you became one of only 7 people to win both the U.S. Open and the U.S. Senior Open. You've said that, I guess, the most heartening thing to you is that they still want you around. Why do you think they wouldn't want you around? I mean, you're a legend of the game, and you still have a lot of things to say to people.
Well, you know, a lot of guys that get to be my age, 72, they just sort of fold up, so to speak, and sit back. And I still think there's a lot for me to give.
You are in more demand than ever, aren't you?
And I really am, and I'm really having a great time in my life now. It's just a wonderful experience to go and visit with people and be able to show them some of the finer points of the game, and particularly around the greens and putting, and It makes it, I have people come and say something to me about how much I've helped them that day, and that makes my day. But it makes my day just to be accepted by the people, and the people want me around. It just, it enriches my life untold.